Tomlinson stated that he was using his Samsung S10 when suddenly he noticed someone grab his phone. He stated that he did not let go of his phone, and then a second subject began punching him in the face. Tomlinson stated that the subjects were able to get his phone away from him and that they started to flee the area by heading westbound on E North Ave. Tomlinson stated that he chased the subjects to a McDonald's when he then gave up and the subjects continued north through the parking lot and he lost sight of them. Breaking, exciting news. All of you on the edge of your seat, I can already tell. Patrick S. Tomlinson has smoked the dank marijuana. He says, Monday, at 44 years old, I smoked pot for the first time in my life at the Hollywood Bowl during the War on Drugs show. Appropriate. I have two observations. One, there is absolutely no reason for it to be illegal. Number two, there is absolutely no reason to make it your whole personality. Seriously, it's such an innocuous drug. I felt a little more connected to the music and strangers around me for about 15 minutes. And colors seemed brighter. Whoop-de-doo. This is what we've been fighting about for 75 years. Pathetic. And then Kyle Tomlinson, NBA, thank you, Elon, says, Rick, since bartenders are the only people you talk to regularly other than Nicole, this must be a frightening prospect. Rather than seething, maybe consider improving your personality and making friends. Never father. Or stop drinking. Patrick then replies to this account for the 1 millionth time, and I have absolutely no fucking idea why he refuses to block this account in particular, but he says, I have actual friends across the world, stalker. You have none. Your sociopathy prevents you from forming or maintaining adult relationships. Enjoy prison. So that prompted somebody to draw this really lovely picture. It's just what a nice doodle. Who's it by? Shlomo XL. He drew this nice little doodle of Tomlinson smoking the dank herb. I think it's worth pointing out that you never get high your first time. I've never heard of anyone say that they got high the first time they smoked weed. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just like a technique thing, but I think this is a universal experience. Nobody gets high their first time. So him saying, I definitely got super high, but I only felt it for 15 minutes. And my very first time, it's like, no, you didn't. Liar. Liar. Anyone saying that they did get high their first time is a liar. Just saying. Okay. And then he posted this, and I don't know why this made me laugh, this post. He went to say no, stalker, but he somehow omitted the N in his fervent desire to bash out as many tweets as possible. So he just said, oh, stalker. Oh, stalker, you didn't. Oh, stalker, this is why your life is already over. Oh, stalker. Oh, stalker. Enjoy prison. Modern day pottery. Thank you, Patrick. So there was a Trumperino rally in, I think, Manhattan. The Botanical Garden is what it's called, correct? And Rudy Giuliani. My cloud lifter. No. Come back to my table, cloud lifter. I need you to lift my clouds. I got it, chat. I fished it. So Giuliani was there, Trump was there, and of course, Patrick Tomlinson, who even Patrick S. Tomlinson can enjoy Halloween because he's renamed himself to Patrick Spooky Tomlinson, which I appreciate. That's an endearing thing, chat. I like Patrick just a little bit more now. Madison Square, not Botanical Garden. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking of. But he's reading an article about how it's like a Nazi rally or some shit, and he says, funny story. A few days ago, I pointed out the disturbing parallels the last time the Garden hosted Nazis and today. Friday night, the NYPD called and interrogated my wife and I. The owners of Madison Square Garden read this email and reported us as potential terrorists. So, Patrick S. Spooky Tomlinson apparently wrote something that was threatening enough that the Madison Square Garden believed that he was a potential violent criminal, threatening them, and the NYPD agreed in so much that they actually called Tomlinson and his wife and asked them a couple questions about his intentions and if he was threatening them or something. So he called them swatters, stalk a child, owning the Madison Square Garden and swatting him. You just can't catch a break. All these fucking stalker children, and in very high places. The Nazi Party has infiltrated. The roots are deep. Let's just say that. Patrick S. Tomlinson, child. As it turns out, this was before the election. Stalkers again used fraudulent Craigslist ads to try and trick users into stealing our patio furniture. This time, they are successful. It says free lawn furniture in Milwaukee, and there he goes, taking the very nice metal chairs away. I think he also got the table and the umbrella. The patio furniture has been seized. A little bit of a win for Patrick, actually. As I mentioned many months ago, he filed a lawsuit for civil rights violations against both the city of Milwaukee and several of its officers. The decision is in, the preliminary decision is in, and all of the charges, except 3 of them towards the city specifically, will be allowed to continue. So now he's into the nitty-gritty of the lawsuit, where the easy dismissals have already been evaluated, and he's actually going to have to litigate this against both the city and the police officers named in the inquiry. So chances are, once you hit this point, the nitty-gritty, very few people want to see a lawsuit to conclusion. So chances are he's about to get a fatty paycheck. Chances are that the union or something has insurance for the police officers, and the city has their insurance. So he might get a couple $100,000 to get to fuck off. Which is why, by the way, you do not do shit like what people do to Patrick. Like, there's no reason to swat him. A lot of people say that he swats himself. I can't speak on that, but if people are swatting him, just so you know, eventually he might just get his comeuppance. There's a reason why we don't do that. Outside, I mean, just in general, like with swatting, it would never be okay. But I frown upon general contact trolling as a whole, because there are unforeseen consequences. This is after the election. He says, the doors may stay closed and the lights may go off for several years or more, but at some point we'll survive this. If we survive this, he means to say, if we survive this, we'll need to have preserved as much institutional knowledge and experience as we can, so we aren't starting over completely from scratch. We'll have to restart. If you work at a governmental agency, the CDC, FDI, CIA, FBI, NSA, NTSB, NOAA, anywhere, you'll need to start saving every gig of data you can find. Studies, organizational charts, employee manuals, policies and procedures, anything that can be used to recreate your agency from scratch. To which somebody replies, let's see. There was a reply to this, I don't know. We'll do fine without you. There was a reply that someone said, like, I work for a government, and we can't do this because that's a crime. And then his response was, there are no laws anymore. Yeah, try that. Try downloading a bunch of shit from FBI servers and just walk out of the FBI with it. I mean, what's her face? Reality winner. That's what she did. Worked out great for her. What's this video?
Because it's funny. Because it's just so fucking funny.
Oh, that's Patrick. That's what he's up to. He's coping and sneezing. Okay, so in the Patrick case, if you don't remember, he is suing the city of Wisconsin, the police department, and several actual uniformed officers for civil rights infringements in regards to him having been called, having emergency responders called to his house, I think by his number, like 50 plus times. So he sued. And he's actually made it past the first hurdle. The judgment here was just that. To say, response: defendants lack information as to whether the acts qualify as domestic terrorism and lack information about who is carrying out the alleged campaign of domestic terrorism. Defendants lack knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief about who is committing the swatting. So this is the police saying that they don't know who's swatting him or doing what, and they don't know if it would constitute domestic terrorism. This response seems like it's a interrogatory when you submit like your questions to a defendant. The police are unwitting actors, and I think what ended up happening with this is that they ended up dropping his complaints against the city itself, but he still has outstanding, like his case is still good to go against a bunch of the I think the police officers and also the sheriff's department, and I think one charge stuck with the actual city. So Tomlinson's actually making good progress on his civil lawsuit for the swatting stuff. And quite frankly, he's in the right. I'm going to say it. If the police know that he's getting swatted over and over again and they're still sending people over, they're still putting him in handcuffs and they're putting him in duress at random hours of the night, and they're not doing anything proactive to stop this shit from happening, they're at fucking fault. And it would be just desserts if people who were swatting him, because they hate him so much, ended up giving him like $1 million settlement. Like that's just desserts. That's fair. Like if you're gonna fuck with somebody like this using the police and they're gonna be complicit in it, and you're just trying to hurt him, and then he ends up as a winner as a result of it. Like there you fucking go. There's a reason why the Kiwi Farms does not tolerate any of this fucking bullshit, and you never know how this shit ends up. You don't want to fuck around with it. You don't want to see this happen. He told the officers to leave, but they refused. Response: admit, but further, defendants affirmatively allege that Patrick was unreasonably loud, boisterous, appeared to be intoxicated, and was otherwise disorderly while hurling insults at officers. The injuries or damages, if any, sustained by plaintiff were caused by the whole or in part by the acts of omissions of the plaintiffs. Despite this, officers pointed guns in her face, ordered her out of the home, and then searched the home. Response: defendants lack information and knowledge sufficient to form the belief as to whether Nikki and Patrick thought and therefore deny. Yeah, these responses are bad. They're like copy-paste and they don't make sense. Yeah, the cop attorneys are like the fucking corrupt union police officers and their attorneys in Milwaukee. They don't have an attorney that can actually answer these. I'm just saying, I don't like Patrick and he hates me, but if you're swatting somebody, you know, the comeuppance is that he wins. Nikki Robinson and Patrick Tomlinson are the targets of vicious campaigns of domestic terrorism carried out at the hands of bullies. We can't say if we know this is terrorism. For a moment, Nikki and Patrick thought the menace was in. That's a bad interrogatory. Nikki has called the FBI, telling them the same thing. We don't know that. I thought this would be the judgment where it says that the which cases were dropped. But in summary of this is that their defense is that Patrick was like a retard, so they were in the right, which is probably your best defense. And then Shane Edward Noakes, who's a super internet tough guy who had a brief crossover with Patrick Tomlinson, has had his Zitter account suspended after a complete tart out after Trump won. As we all know, anyone who can get their Twitter account suspended in this day and age must be a full-on fucking retard. Pants on head, fucking shit-chucking ape. Can't hold his spaghetti together for even a nanosecond. This is a Milwaukee Police Department police report from 2020. Josh. Imagine being named Josh. You hear Josh your entire life, and then you start forgetting how to remember things. Well, why would anybody care about a Milwaukee, Wisconsin police report from 2020? Well, stalker child, this police report is a previously unseen, unheard of police report featuring Patrick S. Tomlinson, child. He was simply enjoying his day at a, and this is, I can't even believe this is fucking real. At 10 p.m., he was leaving Chubby Cheesesteaks. Now, there is an ongoing joke, and I will dare not opine on this because of certain factors, but I have been told by reliable witnesses that Patrick S. Tomlinson is fat. And so, the mere fact that he was at a place called Chubby's Cheesesteaks in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is of some cosmic irony to begin with. But he was there late at night at 10 p.m., perhaps drinking too much. And then he leaves. He was waiting for his order. Tomlinson stated that he was using his Samsung S10 when suddenly he noticed someone grab his phone. He stated that he did not let go of his phone, and then a second subject began punching him in the face. Tomlinson stated that the subjects were able to get his phone away from him, and that they started to flee the area by heading westbound on E North Ave. Tomlinson stated that he chased the subjects to a McDonald's when he then gave up, and the subjects continued north through the parking lot, and he lost sight of them. So, let's break this down. At 10 p.m. at night, a presumably intoxicated Patrick S. Tomlinson was waiting outside for his order from Chubby's Cheesesteaks. He was then using his phone, perhaps childing people on Twitter at the exact moment, when an unknown assailant attempted to disarm the phone from his grip. He refused to relinquish the phone non-violently. And so a second assailant then began to batter him by punching him in his face. Not willing to give up his phone because it's the only way of telling people on Twitter that they are children and stalker children and that they will go to prison, he began to chase after three assailants who fled westbound. And after a few blocks, he ended up at a McDonald's, where presumably the inviting smell of McDonald's burgers and fries caused him to forget what he was doing and disoriented him, while the stalker children ran off into the night, never to be seen again. And yes, it is three. In fact, stalker children, there are descriptions of them. Let's take a look at who these presumably stalker children are. Three subjects. Subject 1, black male, approximately 5'9 to 5'11, approximately 180 pounds, younger, wearing a white t-shirt with short hair, took the phone. Subject 2, black male, same height, same weight, also young, dark colored shirt, short hair. And subject 3 is a black male, same height, same weight, also younger, wearing a dark colored t-shirt, short hair. So, there he was. Yes, this is live. There he was at Chubby's Cheesesteaks, enjoying or waiting. He wasn't even enjoying his nice slop. By the way, I hate to offend, but kebab is better than cheesesteak. Like, cheesesteak is just hot dog bun, the shittiest slices of beef ever, greasy as fuck, and then like Velveeta fake cheese. Kebab is better. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. Everyone in Philadelphia can suck ass. I don't care. He then goes on to say that he was not talking during after. He does not have insurance on the phone. He believes he can track the phone. He was speaking to an employee of Chubby's Cheesesteaks. Oh, an employee handed the officer a phone that was handed to her by a customer known as Singh. The phone belonged to a black guy. Oh, I believe that one of the stalker children dropped their own phone. Okay. And then the cop says that the stalker children that stole his phone have done this in prior instances. They do have surveillance cameras. No conclusion was ever made. They never found Tomlinson's phone. And then after this, he just got a different phone. What's really funny is that his immediate post after this was to go on Twitter and talk about gangbangs. Like, his comment was, why is it called a bisexual gangbang if it's MMF, but it's not considered a bisexual gangbang to be FFM? Curious. So immediately after being mogged and punched in the face by black men, he was thinking about MMF threesomes for whatever reason. So I'll leave that up to your interpretation to figure out what the fuck the psychological condition was there. And what's also really funny is he made no mention of it. And there's several possible explanations for why. Like, maybe he just didn't want to be racist. Maybe he didn't want to admit that Milwaukee is like a shithole. Maybe he didn't want to admit that he was at a Chubby's Cheesesteaks. And I think also probably the biggest contributing factor was that Tomlinson holds himself as like a big, strong guy. And he's made stupid posts about how, like, if anyone tried to rob me, I would use my taekwondo and beat them into submission and then hold them until the police got there. Like, because he was very anti-Rittenhouse, and he was very, like, anti other people who've defended themselves against violent black thugs. So it's like, when he's always said, like, I wouldn't need to use my weapons to take him down because I would be able to squash 3 assailants by myself and hold them non-violently until the police got there. And then he actually gets mugged and he runs at them until he loses his breath at McDonald's, and then he gives up and just calls the police. There's also posts of him, by the way, saying, like, any white man who calls the police on a POC is basically guilty of attempted. As far as I'm concerned, that's where we're at now. Then, of course, he gets his fucking phone taken. And what does he do? He runs to McDonald's and goes, police! 3 black men took my phone. Please get it back. I need to call people stalker children on the internet. So that's the prevailing theory.